Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, ManufactOn, Control Your Prefab. This webinar is brought to you by Applied Software, the premier software systems integrator in North America. My name is Amy Worthy, and I'm delighted to be your moderator today. Throughout our presentation, we encourage you to interact with us by taking advantage of this fully customizable console. By clicking on the colorful icons at the bottom of your screen, you can minimize, maximize, and resize each of these widgets throughout the presentation. Starting from left to right, you have the Help widget. Please use this widget if you need assistance during the webinar. Then you'll find the Slides widget that contains the PowerPoint for today's presentation. After that, you'll see the media player that allows you to control the volume of the webinar. This is also the widget that will allow you to see the screen share during today's live demo. After that, you have the Q&A widget, so you can interact with us by typing in your questions and comments. Please take a moment to introduce yourself in the questions widget. We want to know who you are, where you're located, and anything interesting you would like to share with us. Also use this box to type in questions you have throughout the presentation, and we'll take time to answer those questions at the end of the webinar. Then there's a link to email us with any questions or comments you have. After that, you see the Facebook widget, so you can quickly catch up on the latest updates and like our page if you haven't already. And finally, we have the survey widget, and we'll talk about that more in just a minute. This webinar is being recorded and will be available to you online following the webinar. We'll also send you an email with a link to the recording. If you haven't already, search Applied Software on social media. Connect with us to receive the latest information and special offers. Be sure to visit our website, ASTI.com, for information on services and support, products, training opportunities like CAD learning, live lab learning, and more. For those questions that just can't wait, you can chat with an available representative right on our website. You'll find the chat box on the bottom right side of any page of the website. If no one's available to answer your request, we'll receive your chat via email and get back to you as soon as possible. You'll also find a complete schedule of upcoming events, webinars, and trainings on our website calendar. Please take note of our webinar next week, CAD Learning, Getting Started with the Basics. That's on Wednesday, April 20, that's actually tomorrow, not next week, Wednesday, April 25th from 12:30 to 1:30 Eastern Time. So if you are new to Applied Software or new to CAD Learning, please join us for that, and we will teach you all about using CAD Learning so you can get the most out of it. At the conclusion of the webinar, a survey will pop up. Please complete the survey to be entered into a $25 Amazon gift card giveaway. You must complete the survey to be entered into the drawing. Now you can save on live lab learning courses by attending our webinars. Sign up for a course within 30 days of this webinar to save 25% on the price of the course. You must sign up within 30 days to receive the discount, but you don't have to take the course within 30 days. You'll receive an email following the webinar with this 25% off coupon, as well as a link to this webinar recording. Visit asti.com/live-lab-learning to learn more and to see upcoming courses. And now I would like to introduce today's presenters. We have Brad Hartnagel and Jordan Easterling of ManufactOn, and I will go ahead and turn it over to Brad to go through his presentation.
Great, thanks. Thanks so much, Amy, and thanks everyone for joining us this afternoon. As Amy mentioned, my name is Brad Hartnagel. I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing with ManufactOn. I'm joined by my colleague, Jordan Easterling, who is our Director of Customer Success. So today, what we wanted to talk through with you today is I'm going to give a little bit of background about ManufactOn, where we came from, and more importantly, what we're seeing at a macro level from the industry around prefab, some general changing tides and changing winds and trends that we're seeing through the industry, which really leads into what ManufactOn's core focus is. And the title of today's webinar, Control Your Prefab, it really is more than that, though. It's really how we can optimize the amount of prefab that we're doing in each of our fabrication centers, each of our shops, and how we can grow the amount of prefab across our organizations year over year. And what we've seen really generally across the industry is several headwinds that we've commonly seen as an industry: productivity challenges, labor shortages, delivery uncertainty. So common challenges that we all face. And what we've really seen to combat that is what I like to call the prefab promise. And prefab has really stepped in as a key contributor that can help all of us as an industry overcome some of these key challenges. And we're really starting to see, that prefab promise, safer, better quality, less time constraints on a project, and cheaper, lower overall cost on a project. So really, we've seen prefab really start to dominate a lot of discussion, a lot of focus on the construction market as a whole, and particularly those running a high amount of fabrication through their shops. And what we've seen in a lot of independent studies are starting to look at this, and FMI is a great example in this study. If you look back at 2010, which is the blue bars that we're seeing here, it really was a pretty evenly dispersed amount of work being done across the industry. So, 1 to 5%, the amount of companies doing 1 to 5% prefab, all the way up to companies doing greater than 20%, was pretty evenly mixed, all about 25%, give or take, across the industry in the different buckets. So, very limited amount of prefab generally, just 6 years ago. Now, fast forward to 2016, you'll notice this huge trend, this huge shift in the industry, where if you look on the very right side of this chart, now 55% of the industry are self-describing themselves as doing 20% or more of fabricated work in an offsite center. So we've seen this major shift where people are starting to recognize that there's clear advantages. There's clear advantages in taking work off-site and doing it in a fabrication center, and how do we grow this and how do we do more? But another growing trend here that we see as we take more and more of that work off-site, there are some very distinct and unique challenges that the off-site construction paradigm brings to the table. With more and more of our work being brought off-site, how do we coordinate this work? How do we connect our shop with our field teams? How do our field teams know what's going on in the shop? How do we coordinate with the broader project team? How do we coordinate back upstream to the GCs, back to our suppliers? How do we manage all of this? And as more and more companies, as all of us are starting to look at more and more of this work being taken off-site, this coordination challenge is beginning to compound. Secondly, how do we optimize our production? If our goal is to grow the amount of prefab we're doing from 20% today to 50% over the next 5 years, we really are going to need to optimize our shop to get the most out of our internal fabrication shops as humanly possible. How do we optimize that? How do we manage that? The third bullet point, delivery. As all of this is now being produced more and more off-site, how do we coordinate the just-in-time delivery as it's coming to the job site? One trend we're seeing, really nationwide, more and more development in urban cores. What that means, very limited space to lay down material, to manage that material flow. So literally, material has to arrive just in time. How do we stage that? How do we manage that? And how do we coordinate that amongst the broader team? And then lastly, what happens if everything changes, right? How do we manage all of those late changes and bring all of this together? So that really leads us to the effectiveness of current prefabrication. And in that same FMI study, those same respondents were asked, how effective do you think your current processes are today? And not surprisingly, only 14% out of those surveyed stated that their current processes in place are effective. And what that essentially, that story that's painting is only 14% of those respondents feel that they're getting that prefab promise. They feel they're getting that full optimization of what prefab can deliver. 40% stated they needs improvement, while 46% stated that not effective at all. So again, those macro level challenges of how we coordinate and bring all this together still very much persist. So really, these macro trends and these gaps and challenges in prefab is really what ManufactOn is built to address and focused on solving. ManufactOn is an end-to-end supply chain management tool that helps really connect all the dots in your prefab process, all the way from early planning and coordination, flowing into the shop to help your shop teams optimize the production flow through the shop floor, managing the QA process, and ultimately rolling out to just-in-time delivery. So really that end-to-end process to help streamline and make the most optimization out of prefab as possible and allow your company to grow the amount of prefab year over year. So what Jordan will take you through today is really our end-to-end construction supply chain and talk through how we can help optimize that prefab process. And ManufactOn as a whole is really broken up into four key buckets, if you will. The first bucket is the material manager. So underpinning in ManufactOn is full inventory management that allows you to manage and track all the material coming into your shop, or any long lead items that may need to go directly out to the job site as well. But really managing that material flow to make sure you have the right material levels on hand, and that there's no surprises in the supply chain feeding into the assemblies coming into the shop. The second piece, the prefab planner. This is really giving your planning and coordination teams a platform to be able to coordinate all of that upfront work as far as the who, what, when, and where the items on a project are going to get prefabbed. The third bucket here, the production manager. This is the tool that's going to allow you to really fill out and optimize production through the shop, giving your shop teams the ability to instantly scan QR codes and streamline that workflow and manage the production log as it rolls through. And lastly, the supply chain manager, which rolls it all up into intuitive, interactive dashboards. So really all the way from early planning through just-in-time delivery, Jordan will take you through, really that complete workflow. Lastly, who does ManufactOn affect? And ManufactOn is a collaborative platform, and really the goal and value behind collaborating is getting the entire project and company teams engaged, working off a center source of truth around prefab management. So really starting with your coordinators, allowing them to have that platform for planning and visibility into the process downstream, connecting in the detailers to add the shop drawings and any manufacturing details that may need to be put in place, through procurement to the material ordering, giving visibility through that process, all the way out to the shop floor to allow the foremen to track and manage their scope. The field supers to receive the information and receive the material on the job site, and also communicate back with the shop. And of course, the project leaders to oversee and have access and visibility into the end-to-end process. So ManufactOn becomes really that source of truth for that entire prefab supply chain. So that's a little background about ManufactOn, our focus as a company, a little bit about the prefab supply chain. And now I'll turn it over to Jordan to walk us through some of that workflow and process in action.
Thanks, Brad. So let's see. I'm hoping you guys can see my screen. But like Brad was mentioning, I'll quickly walk you guys through an overview of what ManufactOn looks like and what those workflows look like within the platform. As he mentioned, ManufactOn has a lot of different feature sets or capabilities, but I'm really going to focus on four main modules in the ManufactOn wheelhouse today. One is that material manager piece. This is really going to be tracking materials from basically from your vendor either into your shop and informing your prefabrication processes or directly to a job site. We'll talk through Prefab Planner and Production Manager. These are really going to center around your prefabrication processes. This is, as the name suggests, the planning bit. The Production Manager is really going to be managing orders as they're flowing through your shop. And then finally, Supply Chain Manager. This is going to be your 30,000-foot overview to sort of give you a high-level view of orders as they're tracking through. So we'll actually start today with the Supply Chain Manager. And you'll see this is broken into three.
Hey, Jordan.
Yep.
I don't know that I don't think your screen share is going.
Okay, let's try
Can you try
this.
doing it again?
Yeah, how does that look?
It usually takes a second. Okay, I'm still not seeing it. Okay, there it is.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. So like I was mentioning just a few minutes ago, ManufactOn is broken into several different feature sets or modules, but I'm going to go through these four. Just a quick gloss over again. The Material Manager, tracking materials to the shop or to the job site. Prefab Planner and Production Manager, really going both planning out and managing prefabrication orders as they're tracking through your shop. And then what we're starting with here is the Supply Chain Manager. So the Supply Chain Manager is broken into a couple different segments here. Production status, material status, these are high-level overviews of either the prefabrication piece, high-level view of the material piece, and then we'll get into shipping orders later, but this is a roll-up of all the orders that are tracking into shipping. And like I said, this is your 30,000-foot overview. So what this does is this allows you to get a really good handle on where are your orders at in the process for the prefab scope. So you can see order names here. If we click this flyout, you can see more information on that order. We can see what project it's associated with, specific dates that are important for that order, the coordinate by date, the date that it needs to be on site. We can actually see what location it's at. You know, is it in your fab shop? Is it already at the laydown yard? What stage of production is it in? Is it still in the coordination phase? Is it out for delivery? And then finally, this item's complete here. We can see real time, the order as it's actually tracking through your shop. So what this allows you to do is get a really good handle on your end-to-end supply chain, and then construction projects change. So if you're getting a lot of pressure from your GC, let's say, to get a different floor of, let's say, your domestic water system out, then you can see, hey, this is already complete. We can go ahead and prioritize this to come out on the truck today rather than next week when it was slotted for. In that same vein, construction projects changing. One of the really cool features that we've seen leveraged really well is this pause button. So let's say that you are in a coordination meeting and you get word that one of your systems is going to be held off to a design change. Well, what you can do is you can actually fill out in the app, hey, this is a design change. Who do we want to notify of this? And then, like Brad mentioned, this is both a cloud and mobile tool. So this will actually create a quick push notification to, let's say, your shop manager's phone saying, hey, let's hold off on this order for right now. And it really helps you manage those changes as early as you find out. The material status arm is going to be very similar. You'll have a roll-up of a lot of materials that are tracking through the process, and you'll be able to see a lot of key information or key bits on those orders as they're tracking through and where they're at. Also, as this list grows, we have a couple different sets up here to help you navigate this list a little bit more efficiently. We can filter by projects. We can filter by what location it's at. Different on-site dates or coordination dates. So really focusing on two main things when it comes to ManufactOn. One is making this information, your supply chain information, really easy to consume, and then also really easy to input. So this supply chain manager, your 30,000-foot overview, is going to be the consumption end. Now let's take a look at the data input end. So with that, we'll hop over to the Prefab Planner section. You can see here we have a number of different orders with the specific project that we're associating those orders to, and a couple different ways to get information in. We can either enter this one by one, or you'll see this Excel import logo throughout the app. We've built in a way to pull in data from spreadsheets. We realize that most projects live quite a bit on Excel spreadsheets, so we want to be able to pull information in pretty quickly that way. We'll look at some of the bits of information that the order contains. So, we have standard information here. We have our key dates right here that the order is associated with. And then we can build out, more information with regard to what we're calling items, but different pieces of that order. Another key bit in terms of making the data really, really easy to pull into the system is our BIM plugins. So we have full integration with Revit, which you're seeing here, as well as AutoCAD, Fabrication CAD MEP, but basically several different ways to get information directly from the model into ManufactOn. So you'll see here, right within the Revit environment, we have a couple different options here for ManufactOn. We can go ahead and select what project we're going to associate this to. And then with these two options here, we can either create a brand new order, we can go ahead and make an association with an order that we already have in the system. So let's go ahead and do that. So if we click this HVAC level 1 system, we can go ahead and see the order, what it already contains, and then we can add items directly from Revit objects directly into the system here. So select these. And then you'll see those are added right here. And it'll pull in as much information as is contained within the model. Now, our model is, we don't have all the parameters filled out, but if you had level and zone information, that would pull in automatically as well. So think of the time where you're doing takeoffs and you're printing out a plan set and taking out your highlighter and doing takeoff that way. A lot can fall through the cracks. A lot can be missed. And so what this does, you'll see these colors are changing as we make the associations. It really lets you know, hey, what have we missed in terms of our takeoff? What have we captured as part of our prefabrication plan? So really streamlines your process and makes sure that you're picking up everything that's within your scope. So that's really, a pretty high-level overview of data capture or gathering information, putting it into the system. Now, what is it like to actually manage orders as they're going through the process? So with that bit, we'll take a look at the Production Manager module. You'll notice we have a couple bits of information here, and just like in other sections of the app, you'll notice these Excel import icons here. So we have the same information that we had before in terms of items, but we have a concept that we're calling runs, which is basically going to be every step that an order has to go through to be produced in your shop, and we can pull that information in here with an Excel import. So if you have pretty standard, let's say, lighting rack steps, that every lighting fixture or lighting rack that you have is going to go through the same steps, we can import that, and now it's ready and set up to be managed through our manufacturing tab. Now, once this is set up, we can manage this directly through the browser app that I'm showing here, just by basically your shop staff coming in, clicking the Done button, marking this as done, and saving it. Now, another method for updating information within the system is that mobile piece that we were talking about earlier. You have full QR label scanning support through the app, and I'll show you that right now. So if we print this QR label out, this is a quick look at our mobile app, and you'll see a lot of the information contained within the app is pretty similar. We can look at the detailing phases, manufacturing phases, pull up those orders directly through the app here without a scan, or if we have the QR labels printed out, then we can go directly through the app, select QR code scan, and then as I pull up that QR, it will pull up the order directly. So you can see all the information that's contained within this order directly from your phone or tablet. And then along with consuming some of the information here, we can also update some of these processes directly from that QR code scan. So you'll notice this default run that we have here. We can go ahead and select the last 2 bits here, mark done, and it'll update this real time. We can also reference any documentation that we may have uploaded to the order. So any RFIs, if you have shop drawing sets that you're building off of, all that can be contained within the application attached through orders in this mechanism. Let's see. So as this is hopping through the process, and as you have different guys in your shop or different team members in your shop that are updating runs, all of that is reflected back within this supply chain manager. So the entire team has high level visibility of how orders are tracking through, and that's actually updating this items complete percentage here. So like Brad was mentioning, this really is your single source of truth. This is this really becomes a very living, breathing, and accurate set of information for your project to check on the health of your project. Now, as this is hopping through the different stages, as this is hopping through your shop, we also have an option to send this through an optional QA step. So if you have let's say a final gateway before it's shipped, to make sure that you have some testing procedures that are followed, or you just want a quick visual QA/QC set, we can hop it through that. Another really cool feature with each of these orders is you'll notice this activity log icon located throughout the app. What this will allow you to do is see an entire life cycle of this order. And this is a really powerful tool that we've seen leveraged well with a couple different contractors where, let's say you're having a hard time finding an order that got out to the job site. Well, because of all the QR code scans and because of all the tracking in terms of on an order level basis, we can see everything that's touched this order. So as something comes out to a job site and as something is scanned into a particular laydown area, we can see exactly who scanned it in and where it was scanned in at, really relieving some of those pain points where you have a box of, let's say, elbows that come out to a job site and you can't seem to find them anywhere. Well, this will help you source those or hunt those down a bit faster and reduce any sort of reordering or just delays to the project schedule. And finally, all this is going to roll up into your shipping orders. And just like we were talking about before with the QR code scans, we can do the same thing on the shipping end. So I'll quickly show you guys what that looks like right now. And as we select that integral QR code option, we can go ahead and scan the shipping order, and really quickly, your guys in the field can see all the items that are associated with that order. So they know immediately this truck was supposed to have 10 different boxes or crates that we were going to use for level 2. Are they all here? We can quickly scan through and see, yes, they are here, no, they're not. Also, managing receipt is pretty straightforward. You'll notice this button here for returns. If you have something that falls off the truck and gets damaged or it was improperly sized, we can manage returns directly from the mobile app. You'll also notice similar menu options here, documentations. I don't have anything uploaded here, but if you had installation drawings or again, RFIs, submittals, things like that you would need to reference as teams are installing orders, you can see all of that rolled up here. So that's a really high-level overview of ManufactOn and some of the capabilities. I'll turn it back over to Brad and talk through a few more bits.
Very good. Thanks, Jordan. We can move into the question and answer portion of the presentation. And Amy, it looks like we have some questions in the window. Do we just want to queue off of those and we can answer those live?
We do. Yes. So we will start from the first one that I see. Does this work with Autodesk Fabrication CAD MEP?
So yes, and I think that I saw a few questions around that, around the ITMs, the fabrication CAD MEP, and parts. The answer to all of that is yes. So Jordan showed the plugin for Revit. We have the equivalent plugin for fabrication MEP directly, which is the exact same workflow, exact same functionality for that platform. So full support for Autodesk Fabrication CAD MEP, and then also for any of those parts within Revit, the Revit parts and the fabrication parts and the ITMs, we fully support all of those directly through the Revit environment as well. So all of those pieces fully supported.
All right. Is there a quick way to place the QR codes on the PDF and print them according to the spool sheet?
So we have seen companies do that, and it's been to date a manual clip where they're embedding it actually in the title block. So there's not a streamlined easy button, if you will, but that is something that that we can certainly look at to further streamline as we're continuing to build on our integration into the entire BIM 360 platform, docs and others as far as how that information can flow. So that is certainly an area we can look to integrate further, but it can be done. But right now it'd be a manual process to clip and insert.
All right. And someone asked specifically, does this tie into BIM 360 docs at all, or any plan to do so?
So yes, so we have multiple integration points today with the BIM 360 environment. The first one is directly a native app that we've built out directly through Forge, which allows full visualization of the material stream. So this allows us to really take any all of the components that Jordan had flagged and identified through Revit. With that model hosted in Docs, we can visualize all of that information directly through the Forge platform. So I think actually Jordan is pulling up a live demonstration of that right now. Jordan, do you want to talk through this piece a bit?
Absolutely. Yeah, so like Brad was mentioning, full integration with the Forge viewer. And just like we made the association in Revit earlier, and you could see colors changing as we associated different Revit objects with ManufactOn orders or prefabrication orders, this will actually update as different orders track through the process, and as you see some of these colors start to change on our list view in the supply chain manager. Those same colors will be reflected through the model here, so we can actually see that visualization of the supply chain. This has been leveraged really well when it comes to showing GCs or owners in OAC meetings where your orders are at, and really helping with several key bits that entails. Some of that would be billing. It's very easy to show real time. Hey, this may not be on site yet, but this color means that it's in our shop and it's in the QA process. This is already built. So really helps communicate that status real time and very accurately to a very granular level of detail.
And Jordan, if you could open the filters there as well on the top right. And we've really expanded beyond this, and I like to call this piece really the visualization of the material stream. And what this allows is really any non-Revit or non-BIM user to have instant visualization in a model-based environment in a friendly web-based app, right? And again, this would be hosted through BIM 360 Docs, but exposed through Forge. And what this allows is the field super to really build that 3-week look ahead, right? And we can come in and say, show me all material that's being delivered in the next 3 weeks, or show me all material that's sitting in the storage yard currently, and where that relates within the model. So this really gives that next layer layer of visualization to what's actually happening. And if you think back to what we saw today, really we talked about the planning process. We talked about the QR codes on the job floor. So literally as the shop foreman scans that QR code and marks that item complete, this is instantly changing colors in the model. So there's no update or nothing that needs to happen. That information just flows through. So this becomes really a visual report, if you will, but all model centric directly within within the Forge and Docs platform. So that's this Forge piece, this visualization, this has really been our first focal point around the BIM 360 environment, and it really is about extending all the interactions that's going on with the shop, allowing the entire team to coordinate and streamline that information visually. In the second piece, our second integration point, any documents that you want to store that are going to be stored through Docs, any plans, any submittal information, all of that can be dynamically linked either at a package level or at an item level. So Jordan's showing here a link to one of the RFIs created. So an RFI was tagged to a specific item. We can dynamically link that information directly into the Docs environment. So this is actually going to an RFI. This could actually be going to a PDF as well that's stored within the Docs environment. So we have this document linking that flows where BIM 360 has the ability to act as that center source of truth, but reflecting back to your fabrication plan and connecting those documents directly back with the BIM 360 environment. So these have been our two focal points to date. Our roadmap and our partnership with Autodesk, we're continuing to grow. There's a lot of other initiatives that that are currently underway as well. So we'll.
All right. Go ahead.
I'll let you next. I was going to say, Amy, I'll let you go on to the next question.
All right. The next one I see is, does ManufactOn capture Weld data for pharma projects that require a CGMP process?
We have not built anything specifically around that piece, but universally, we have multiple hooks in the ManufactOn platform to capture various data along the way. So one item we didn't get in depth today is around checklist. Checklists allow you to define any action, whether it's a quality action, whether it's a weld, any action on an item or package that needs to happen, allows you to assign it to an individual, track it, and then we have the ability to capture notes as part of any of that process as far as what the results were or anything that goes along with that. You do also have the ability from our mobile app to capture pictures to validate QA or any other type of process. So we've not built anything around the specific weld process for pharma, but again, on a universal framework, we do have the ability to capture that type of information within ManufactOn.
All right. How are shop drawings accessed by shop personnel?
So shop drawings are going to be attached either to the item within the card itself. So it's actually going to be tied to the individual items, or it has the ability to tie it to the overall package. So the whole idea is when we talked about that QR scan, the shop foreman can literally scan the QR code, have access to the documents right then and there, either on an iPad, or what we're seeing more and more across our customers is actual, monitors, stations, shop-based workstations where you can pull it up on a flat screen monitor. So regardless if you're using an iPhone, a tablet or a display station, those shop drawings and any of the cut sheets and ancillary information that goes along with it is literally a click away from the shop's perspective.
And someone asked, is this just using Forge to tie it all together?
So from the visualization piece that we were just talking about, that is, so yes, we are using the Forge platform to interconnect all the model-based data back with the fabrication data that ManufactOn is feeding and giving you the real-time ability to filter and sort based on that data. So again, it's a combination of the items being tracked in ManufactOn with the model data, and we're using Forge to synergize that through the platform.
All right, and we have a couple more questions about tying into ERP. One is, does it tie into any ERP, document control, or project manager software like Coins, CMIC, Viewpoint, Procore, BIM 360 Docs, et cetera, for material costs, purchase orders?
That is a lot of systems, and I say that kind of someone in jest. So what we've done as a whole is we've built ManufactOn universally with the ability to access data from outside sources as well as export data at any point in time. So as it stands today, ManufactOn has the ability to import and export via Excel virtually with any platform. So we can accept any data, and it doesn't even need to be formatted in a certain way. We can accept any of that data coming in, and in turn get that data out. So that's really the first step with any live integration. So we've done that universally, and as we're basing our priority of live integrations, if you will, based on customer demand. And I think our Revit integration is a great example of that. That was a focal starting point, but ManufactOn has, really all the infrastructure to hook into any other system. And again, we're just basing it on demand and building it out from there. But today, our customers are pushing and pulling all this data through Excel, which is, basically a one-click import or export.
And that may have answered the next one on ERP as well. How does ManufactOn work with our company's ERP system, Oracle or SAP?
So yes, I think that would be the same answer, I would say.
And another question is on the cost structure. We don't typically discuss costs during webinars, but we're happy to follow up with anyone who's interested in cost after the webinar. But they are asking, is it per job, per user, anything about the cost structure? So do you feel comfortable answering that, or should we just?
Sure, yeah. So generally speaking, we're licensed on a subscription basis. So it's an annual subscription. We provide unlimited projects, unlimited users for that subscription. And we have a strong belief as a collaborative platform, we want as many people in an organization to be able to utilize and have access to the information and tools. So it's a flat subscription fee, and exactly what Amy said, reach out to your applied team member, and they can help guide you through specifics based on your company.
All right, and that is all of the questions that I see. Well, it looks like someone's asking if you have open or published APIs.
So we have ManufactOn as a platform, again, all web-based, but fully built out on top of APIs. So we've built our entire app on API platforms, using that for our partner integrations in Revit and others. Where we've not taken it yet as a younger company, we've not built out a formalized partner portal, if you will, for API access, but that something a little bit further down the road for us. But everything is API driven, yes.
And we had one more comment. Does this track through inspection and closeout, or are O&M information attached?
So right now we're really tracking through receipt of delivery and installation on the job site, right? So for your inspection, your closeout, your O&M, so that's something we would look to other tools to hand off to potentially in the future. So that's of interest with like BIM 360 Field. You can start to imagine a natural process and handoff. So those are things that we're looking at. So right now our focus is really the supply chain as we defined it, which would be through through kind of that installation process.
Do your subscriptions include support, like for project setup, or custom items?
So it does. Our subscription includes the support, any of the issues and support that come up through the term, and then also, working with the applied team. They have the structure to help with all the project setup and custom items and any of those specialty items. So again, I'd say, touch base with the applied team member, and they can give more detailed information about what that would look like.
Yeah, and if you are interested in learning more about that, you can click the contact us from your window to send us an email right away, or you can select that you would like to be followed up with during the survey that will follow the webinar. And I don't see any further questions, so we will go ahead and move on. I really appreciate you both, Brad and Jordan, for being here today. Thank you for teaching us about ManufactOn. And in a moment, the webinar survey will pop up. Please complete the survey to be entered into a $25 Amazon gift card giveaway. You must complete the survey to be entered into the drawing. The survey will only take a couple of seconds to complete. Thank you all for joining us today. We hope you found this webinar informative and helpful to your business. We look forward to seeing you on a future webinar. Thanks.